Hello and welcome back to the River That Remembers. This is Abby, and I am so excited to share episode 4 with you. The rain fell all night long, washing the land clean, leaving behind the sweet scent of wet earth. By morning, a fresh bloom of flowers had already begun to push through the soil beside the stream. Kojo stood at the edge of his village, the drum of tides slung over his shoulder, glowing with a soft, gentle light under the morning sun. The children, his friends, waved their goodbyes, their small hands fluttering like butterflies. He followed a rhythm that pulsed deep in his chest, a soft, steady beat that only he could hear. It was the heartbeat of the rivers, calling to him. The path led him away from the familiar sights of Tano, through rolling green hills and into the cool shade of thick forests. He crossed open fields where birds sang melodies that felt as ancient as the trees themselves. Everywhere he journeyed, he saw the rivers waking from their long slumber. Some flowed with a gentle calm, their waters clear and inviting. Others raged with a furious energy, powerful and untamed. The world was coming alive again, one current at a time. Days turned into a week, then another. The sun rose and set, painting the sky in brilliant hues of orange and purple. One evening, as dusk settled over the landscape, Kojo found himself entering a strange and silent valley. A thick, heavy fog coiled around the trees, muffling every sound. The air was unnaturally still. He couldn't hear the chirp of crickets, the rustle of leaves in the wind, or even the soft crunch of his own footsteps on the path. There was only a profound, unsettling silence. He took a cautious step forward, and the fog seemed to draw back, parting like a curtain to reveal a wide, shimmering river. But this was unlike any river he had ever seen. Its surface was a perfect, unbroken sheet of silver, shining like a polished mirror under the twilight sky. The water didn't move, it didn't flow or ripple. It simply lay there, staring back at him, holding the reflection of the sky in its silent depths. Driven by a curiosity he couldn't explain, Kojo reached out and touched its surface. The moment his fingers made contact, the silver mirror rippled, and the reflection it held shifted, transforming into something that wasn't his own. A boy with dark, knowing eyes stared up at him from the water's depths. He looked just like Kojo, yet he felt entirely different. "Who are you?" Kojo asked, his voice barely a whisper in the silent valley. The reflection in the water smiled, a slow, unnerving curve of the lips. "I am what you could become," it said, its voice echoing from the river itself, "if you forget who you are." Kojo snatched his hand back as if burned. A cold dread washed over him. "You're not real," he stammered, taking a step away from the river's edge. The reflection laughed, a soft, chilling sound that broke the stillness. "I'm as real as your heartbeat, Kojo. Every drummer has a shadow." And then the impossible happened. The reflection began to climb out of the water. It poured itself onto the riverbank, a perfect double of Kojo, but with eyes like swirling smoke and a cold, ambitious aura. Before Kojo could react, this dark version of himself lunged forward and snatched the drum of tides from his shoulder. "But give that back," Kojo shouted, his voice filled with shock and anger. The dark Kojo held the drum, his smoky eyes glinting. "Why?" he sneered. "You use its power to help others to heal. I'll use it to rule them." He raised his hand and struck the drum a single brutal blow. The sound that erupted was a twisted, horrifying parody of the drum's true voice. The air warped around them. The trees bent backward as if in pain, their leaves screaming. The silver river darkened to a murky black, and Kojo fell to his knees, the discordant rhythm tearing through him. The beat was all wrong sharp, angry, and broken. Kojo clamped his hands over his ears, trying to block out the sonic assault. "Stop," he cried out. "That's not the river's rhythm." The dark Kojo grinned, a cruel, triumphant expression on his face. "Maybe not," he said coolly, "but it's mine." Before Kojo could scramble to his feet, the shadow turned and fled into the fog-shrouded forest, the stolen drum in his grasp, leaving a world trembling and fractured in his wake. Kojo's heart hammered against his ribs as he scrambled to his feet and gave chase. He plunged into the dense, disorienting fog. Every tree seemed to come alive, its branches like grasping fingers whispering his name in taunting tones. He ran and ran, fueled by desperation, until he burst out of the woods and into a wide open plain. There, beneath the sprawling branches of a giant baobab tree, sat a group of people. They were drummers, dressed in cloths of deep red and earthy brown. At their center sat their leader, a tall, graceful woman with intricate beads woven into her hair. She looked up as Kojo stumbled onto the plain, her gaze calm and piercing. "You bring a heavy rhythm, child," she said, her voice like the gentle hum of the earth. Kojo, breathless and trembling, bowed his head respectfully. "I didn't mean to. Something took my drum. A dark version of me." The woman studied him for a long moment, her eyes seeming to see right through him. "You are the boy from Tano," she stated, not as a question, but as a fact. "The one who played the song of returning." Kojo blinked in astonishment. How? How do you know that?" "We are the keepers of rhythm," she explained, her voice resonating with ancient wisdom. "We listen to the heartbeat of the world. The rivers told us you were coming." A spark of hope ignited in Kojo's weary heart. "Then please," he begged, "help me stop him, the shadow." The woman nodded slowly. "He carries your sound, but it is twisted by fear. Only balance can stop him now." She reached beside her and picked up a small, simple wooden drum. It was unadorned, but it felt warm and alive as she handed it to Kojo. "This will guide you until you can find your true one again. But you must remember, drums do not choose the hands that play them. Hearts do." Kojo clutched the small drum, its smooth wood a comfort in his hands. He thanked her and began to play, not with force, but softly. A steady, gentle rhythm. The keepers joined in, their own drums weaving into his. creating a complex tapestry of sound, one harmonious beat, one single, powerful heartbeat. The ground beneath their feet began to glow with a faint, golden light. But suddenly, the air grew ice gold. On a nearby hill, the dark Kojo appeared, holding the drum of tides. His smoky eyes burned like malevolent embers. "So this is the secret clan," he mocked, his voice dripping with disdain. "Let's see whose rhythm is stronger." He struck the drum of tides with all his might. The sound exploded like a crash of thunder, raw and destructive. The very ground split open, and a river of black, viscous liquid burst from the earth, swallowing trees and devouring the light. The keepers of rhythm staggered, their harmonious beat faltering against the onslaught of chaotic sound. But Kojo stood his ground. He lifted his small wooden drum and continued to play. His rhythm wasn't loud or aggressive. It was calm, steady, and life-giving, like the first gentle rain after a long drought. The two rhythms clashed in the air, dark and light, anger and peace, fear and hope. The black river writhed and screamed as Kojo's gentle beat pushed back against its violent tide. Kojo closed his eyes, shutting out the chaos. He listened deeper, past the noise, searching for the truth inside it, and he found it. Every angry, broken beat from the shadow came from a place of fear. His own fear. He opened his eyes and looked directly at his dark double. "You're me," he whispered, the realization hitting him with the force of a physical blow. "You're the part of me that's afraid." The shadow paused. For just a second, the stolen drum in his hands trembled. Kojo took a step forward, his own rhythm never wavering. "I'm not your enemy," he said, his voice clear and strong. "But if you keep drumming from hate, the rivers will die again. Everything we saved will be lost." For a fleeting moment, the dark Kojo's burning eyes flickered. A hint of something else appeared, softness, uncertainty. But then his face hardened again, twisting into a furious snarl. "The rivers obey strength," he roared, and he raised his hands for one final, cataclysmic blow. He struck the drum of tides with unimaginable force. The drum didn't just make a sound, it cracked with a blinding white light. Both Kojos were thrown backward as the world dissolved into a flash of pure, searing white. When Kojo slowly opened his eyes, the plain was empty and silent. The shadow was gone. The keepers of rhythm had vanished like mist in the morning sun, and there, lying in the dust before him, was the drum of tides, split clean in two. His heart heavy with a profound sense of loss, he knelt and picked up the broken pieces. The magic, the life, seemed to have drained from them. Thank you so much for listening to episode 4. Kojo's journey is far from over, and the path ahead is filled with new dangers and challenges. What will he find in the east? Join us next time to find out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single beat of this story. We'll see you then.